just when I thought Ridley Scott had won me back over, he makes this movie. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be giving you my review of House of Gucci, the latest Ridley Scott film. When Patrizia Reggiani, an outsider from humble beginnings, marries into the Gucci family, her unbridled ambition begins to unravel their legacy and triggers a reckless spiral of betrayal, decadence, revenge, and ultimately, murder. So before I give you guys my thoughts on this movie, make sure to hit that like button, comment your thoughts on House of Gucci down below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? As well as make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future reviews coming very soon. So Ridley Scott had two movies this year. This is the second one. Last Duel was the first one, and I actually really enjoyed that movie. I think it's one of his better efforts in recent years. This, however, falls very flat and unfortunately feels a lot like some of those meh Ridley Scott titles that we've gotten, much like All the Money in the World, a movie that has a great cast and a great premise, but it just falls flat in execution. That is exactly what I view when I think of House of Gucci. The movie has a 2 hour and 37-minute runtime, which is daunting, and for some reason a lot of movies have felt the need to push the 2.5 hour boundary. Not sure why, unless you have a really compelling story to tell, and that's not the case with House of Gucci. This movie doesn't really know what it wants to be. It's kind of a comedy at times, it's a drama at times, and it's a romance film at times. It's got all of these different genres, and they're trying to blend them together, so it never really has a cohesive direction or even message in the end. Like, there was really nothing to take out of this movie. Knowing that this movie's based on a true story kind of adds a level of interest. I didn't know much about this situation or the Gucci family or any of the betrayal that really takes place in this movie. I was unaware of it, so it was like I was, in a history class, and again, I like history, so I do like biopics, especially learning about things that I was unaware of before seeing them. That's the case with House of Gucci. Unfortunately, with that long runtime, especially after the hour, this movie really started to drag for me, and I just found myself losing interest. That's because there are so many characters, it's spanning over a long period of time, that certain portions of the Gucci life and the different characters that it's following are just way more interesting than others. It milks that runtime, in my opinion. Now, the movie does have great performances working in its favor. Anytime Adam Driver does something, he's going to stir up Oscar buzz. I mean, he's given two, I'd say, Oscar-worthy performances this year. He's really good in this movie. Al Pacino gives yet another fantastic performance in this movie. He's actually my favorite of the bunch. There's one scene in particular that features him where I'm like, this guy's still kicking it at such an old age. I love him. I hope he never stops acting. And Jeremy Irons is also really menacing in this movie. He's got that commanding screen presence. Those are the three standout performances, in my opinion. When it comes to Lady Gaga, she's fine, okay? I think she does well in certain scenes. She's definitely much better in A Star is Born. I think she should have won the Oscar for that movie. However, in House of Gucci, I think Lady Gaga's performance is a little too over the top, and I know her character is supposed to be this extravagant, kind of irritating person, but I think her performance doesn't work for me through the entirety of the movie, unfortunately. I like her a lot more towards the beginning of the film, and then her performance just becomes way too over the top, and it's trying to be comedic at times. I don't really know what it was going for, so that didn't really work for me. And then let's talk about the elephant in the room, Jared Leto's performance. Everyone knows Jared Leto is a method actor who does these extreme different performances. His character in this movie has like a bald cap on. He put on a bunch of weight, I think, through prosthetics. So it's definitely eccentric to say the least, and his character is just a flat-out dumbass. There's really no way around it. He is a moron, and it does lend itself to some pretty comedic situations. Definitely my theater was cracking up whenever you would have these moments of comedy, and I will say he did make me laugh a few times. However, I don't know if Jared Leto's Oscar-worthy here. I couldn't tell if I really liked what he was doing with the performance or if it was straight up annoying. There was really no happy medium. It was either one or the other depending on the scene, so it was kind of all over the place for me, his performance. He has a few moments to shine. Again, his character is supposed to be a straight-up idiot, so he did a good job with that, I guess. But when it comes to the direction, unfortunately, I think you can just tell that sometimes Ridley Scott's movies feel lazy, and I think that's the case with House of Gucci. You look at a movie like The Last Duel, that movie has so much ambition. You're seeing stories play out through different perspectives, and it's just medieval, it's epic. This, on the other hand, just feels lazy. Like, I could not tell it was a Ridley Scott movie. It's got that very stale color grading, it's very bland in its shot selection. There is not much to work for it from a creative, like, artistic filmmaking standpoint. Nothing that really makes it stand out amongst a crowd of movies that we've got this year. And that's a bummer, because I wanted to really sink my teeth into this movie and be fully invested, but it just feels too generic for a Ridley Scott movie. With this cast, there's just nothing to write home about. There is a few standout scenes, but by the end of the movie, I didn't really feel riveted or moved or really invested in the Gucci family as much as I would have thought with a movie that's acting like it's such an epic, almost mob-level movie, such as like The Irishman or another Scorsese gangster epic. It doesn't really have that feel, which is what it kind of set up at the beginning. That's not the case here. It's lackluster, to say the least. You feel that runtime, unfortunately. The performances are great, but it's not enough to just save the movie. I will say the soundtrack in this movie did slap. There were multiple songs where I was like, this just fits the vibe. vibe, and I love the song selection. Unfortunately, House of Gucci is a movie that I don't see myself ever revisiting. It's definitely not one of my favorites from Ridley Scott. If you have to pick a Ridley Scott movie to watch this year, definitely watch The Last Duel. That movie has much more of a flair from Ridley Scott when it comes to directing. I think it has better performances, and it has more of a message to deliver. This movie kind of left me feeling empty, as if I went to the lunchroom thinking I was going to get my favorite meal, and instead they had like spaghetti. I don't really want spaghetti from the cafeteria, and that's what this movie was. Just left me feeling empty, and I'm hungry for more, especially with such a great cast. So with that being said, I'm going to give House of Gucci 2 out of 5 stars. I don't think this movie is atrociously bad. I don't think this movie is great, but I can't go 2.5 out of 5. It's a little below 50%, so 2.5 out of 5 is 50%. This is like a 40 to 45% movie. It's not really for me, just one that I really struggled to get through. But if you guys like House of Gucci, let me know in the comments down below. Let's have a discussion about the movie. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future reviews coming very soon, especially in the month of December. And with Hawkeye starting up, gonna have a ton of Marvel content right around the corner. But thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.